This is I'm Fruity Pie, and this is going to be the first of a series where I go over Mogis that I play, which are effectively just competitive Grand Prix where you gain or lose MMR based off of um, how well you do, how much experience points you get. That's the new thing with this game's 2.4 version, by the way. This is the practice round. We do one practice round and then 12 real races. This is actually one that I did a Mogi that I played in today. But the reason I'm doing this one today is because I had you'll see, but the very last race there was a bit of an incident and I would like to report that. Not in terms of like behavior, everyone was great this Mogi, but yeah. So I decided to go mostly Amy this Mogi, just because it's a pretty comfortable stat line. In some other videos that I upload, you'll see me playing Choo Choo, but I find that 2-weight is like so much less flimsy than 1-weight. And 1-weight is like barely faster in terms of rings and stuff, so I found that 2-weight is a really comfortable stat to just be on. So a few small mistakes here and there, but I'm still just front running. 3 seconds ahead is really nice. Something that's been running in my head recently is if trying to spam traps in order to get amps is better, or spamming super rings in order to get better rings, or better lines. In which I think it depends a lot on what class you're playing, what map you're on, what part of the map you're on, if you're confident in actually hitting your traps. And it's not like you're always going to be able to hit Super Ring in your roulette anyway, or even the trap that you want, so I think it's good to be flexible in either account. I think I had, no, it wasn't a front. Was it a front run? I can't remember, but it was like a front run or like a close to front run, but I was running 7-speed 4-weight instead. In which I think that's the stat line I prefer for the Crimson Core. Crimson Core is one of those levels where I kind of just don't think, I think you kind of just can't play a slow character, otherwise you just get speed creep by everyone. You don't have enough, there's not enough like really sharp turns to keep up as a slower character. And maybe you could do some work with Class G, but Class A I don't think cooks in this level, not gonna lie. So this was a perfect round. It's too bad it was practice, but everything went really well here. Not really too much to say, I just didn't see anyone else that entire race, and there wasn't really any traps in the way. I imagine that the people in the pack are more so fighting each other rather than trying to set up traps for me. You see, trying to set up traps for first place doesn't really make sense because they have the resources to avoid traps, and if I have a lead, then I can slow down a little bit if there's something that's like really in the way. So you'll see me with 150 points, but just know that those 150 points are just going to be subtracted from my total score because we didn't have a moderator to reset scores, and that was just practice, so those 150 counts don't mean anything. I managed to get first blood there. I think it was a frame perfect or close to frame perfect first blood. And that'll get me a first checkpoint there. So it was pretty close. I'm still not completely sure the top path even faster. Maybe you can make bottom path faster if you save like a super ring, or you have like good drifts, whatever. This race, I don't think too much happens here. It's really hard to control like what trajectory you go on for the electric shield. They're pretty unruly items sometimes, but you can can pick up a lot of speed with it, which is really important because it's like the one speed item other than Super Ring you can get in first. On the previous item box, it would have been nice to roll Super Ring because it just feels like that part where you go over the springs is super slow without it. I decided to push here. And I got sort of lucky there, but the whip releases after if you were to fail the whip without even like whipping, then it releases as soon as it's able to, and I got hit by that, unfortunately. But it's still somehow made being first place there on that checkpoint. I guess I should explain what experience is. Experience does two things. It's your overall score for any given the Grand Prix that we have, and it's also the more experience you have, the better item odds you generally have. So here, that item odds might have had a shoe in it. I couldn't be sure because I didn't go through the entire thing, but if I'd add lower EXP, then I would probably have to be a lot farther behind in order to get a roulette with shoes. EXP is gained by passing these checkpoints scattered throughout the map, and the higher placement you are, the more experience points that you get. The last checkpoints, also rolling quads there was unfortunate because I couldn't get a speed item to push ahead. I'm not sure if it really mattered though. I was pretty far behind. But the final checkpoints for like the final lap counts for it's like 3 times the amount that a normal checkpoint would give. So even though I ended that race in 5th, still got over 100. Generally, if you can get 100 or over, that's really good. So 12,000 is a pretty good score, or 1,200. Excuse me. What? Oh. Now moving on to Shuffle Square. The votes do happen, but I'm just editing them out for the sake of having a better flow for the video. But we ended up getting Shuffle Square, which is a level that I have a pretty rocky history with. There's a lot of random jank that can happen on the level. And basically, like, everything's solid. In another world, I probably would have tumbled there and lost my voltage. Forward trick there. This is a little unrelated, but this map actually has a pretty interesting dynamic with duels. If you're in first, you want to go through the normal path because that's a little faster than taking the trick path by itself. But if you're in second, you probably want to take the trick path if you don't think you can overtake. The reason is because you gain more speed over time for an overall faster lap. So it ends up being a course where you end up trading positions back and forth a lot in duels, which is admittedly pretty neat. A lot of my traps are just landing. I ended up taking that turn like way too tight on accident, but I got lucky with someone bumping into me and not whipping me instead. If I got whipped there, that would have been like a huge opportunity loss. I'm holding this to forward throw it, but unfortunately I missed just barely. That's another thing that they added. It was previously not in 2.3, but in 2.4 you can forward throw the whatever you call it, the landmines. So that ended up being a first place. Stole it with a fastball ring bail after getting bumped. It was a bit of an awkward bump, but I was able to adjust it really quickly. Overall, good race on a map that I usually have troubles on. Yeah, not too much else to say. Let's move on to the next one. Moving on to Scarlet Gardens. It's something that's never really clicked with me before, but the rings in this level are kind of like scarce. And like, they're not like super scarce, but front runners are going to take like the good ring paths, and you're kind of stuck taking the crappy ring paths. So I think the valuable lesson that I learned this Mogi is that I should really play a heavyweight on this level instead. I think having better drifts definitely helps. Like, just not having any ring metabolism, it really hurts. There's only one item box here. It's sort of like, you know, people talk about Desert Palace only having one item box in 2.3, but probably because it's like a huge bagger back in 2.3. Nobody really brought this up, but the more glaring issue was just Rocket Shoes stealing every race because of the hydroplaning mechanic. Which, in hindsight, I probably should have gone for Rocket Shoes in order to catch up and then like gain a few more places. Considering there's only one checkpoint in this level, I could probably afford to slow down a little bit to try to get Rocket Shoes. Well, Seaside does the Rocket Stone Shoe there. I'm getting my shoes mixed up. The Stone Shoe's really giving me a lot of grief. I can't pass her. I don't even know if lawnmowering there is good. It feels kind of slow, honestly. But it just feels, at the same time, it feels like, what else am I gonna do on this class? I kind of need to cut corners wherever I can. And that sort of just seals it. I missed the item box. Should have gone for the other one, but that one was on my line, and I thought I could slow down enough to nab it, but so-so. Also, unfortunately, Alexu ended up disconnecting, so I went for a ring bell there, but it doesn't help me. I'll only get to 5th. Again, I think the overall moral of the story is just I mean, like, nothing really particularly bad happened in the race other than the missed item box. I just, like, didn't really have the ring metabolism to catch up. So moving on to this press garden race, I go backwards in order to grab A or B to try to get some free amps, but I should have targeted a different player because I end up getting screwed over here, and then Galactin gets those amps instead. Unfortunate. Whenever you're stunned, you have this mechanic called Bird Stun, which stops you from picking up rings for a little while. And it's kind of a bogus mechanic, but at the same time, it sort of helps balance lightweights a little bit more. Which I can sort of see making sense because I think lightweights are very strong this patch, even with Bird Stun. Press Garden, it's a level I actually really like, but unfortunately wasn't in 2.3 Mogis. I have a lot of videos for 2.3 Mogis that I meant to do like this post-commentary thing over, but it just ended up never coming to pass. But since 2.4 just came out like officially, I've been practicing it in the release candidates, but that's besides the point. Since it just came out officially, I figured that I would like start actually recording these and recording my progress. I managed to pass her, but eventually, unfortunately, ended up getting bonked off the map. That's also a crappy respawn as well, because I wasn't able to do a drop dash into a slip tide. I'm forced to slow down there because of that Jaws. You'll probably be hearing me say this a lot, but I think Jaws are really freaking stupid in this patch. It sort of just creates scenarios where you're forced to use Amp Shield at a very specific time. And jaws are like nearly, if not completely, unavoidable. I still ended up getting 4th there, even though I took that hit.
Aren't I just incredible?
Not really too much else to say. I was kind of just stuck in the mid-pack for the entire race. It would have been nice to actually get those amps early game. Even if I don't get first blood and I just avoid faulting, I can use those amps to beat up ahead and remain in like the top half. It was slightly awkward cut there, apologize for that. I actually decided to go reds for this level. I picked Gigapolis because it's a good stage for me and I'm good at it. And usually I pick a lightweight here, actually. And the reason is because of the speed stacking at the end. Really helps you get to the end, but I think heavyweights might be a better thinking about it now, just because of the long drifts. And the speed stacking sort of gets made up for with a slip tide. And you only have to hit one of the zippers in order to get a slip tide. I actually go up down to 0 rings there. I was trying to get a whip, but I ended up getting extra wings, so I couldn't do it. But no harm, no foul. The acid drop is a mechanic that I generally welcome, but it's a little bit awkward and hard to utilize on this map, unfortunately. Just because you don't really know what speed you're going to go up to the gray dash rings. Somehow I got a first place checkpoint there. I think a bunch of people tied it. That a landmine. I thought I wasn't sure if the landmine would actually be a good placement. I was sort of just experimenting there, but it ended up working out. It's a pretty easy to see landmine, but it's like in kind of an awkward spot to avoid. The wave dash is especially good for if it's not the last lap, because you can carry the speed of the slip tide going into the next lap. It helps me get this next checkpoint in first as well. Yeah, it took me a little bit to realize I could acid drop there, and I almost hit that banana, but I just ended up bonking a lot, and I kind of think that maybe I should forego the wave dash on final lap, just because there's too much opportunity cost for going that far out, and also generating the wave dash. But overall, decent race, and I think I'm probably going to use some sort of slow or mid-speed heavyweight on this level from now on. Maybe high-speed heavyweight is good too, but I'm sort of been on and off about those. So we ended up going to Sonic Speedway. The 3 choices were Aqua Tunnel, Haunted Ship, and Sonic Speedway. I didn't want to go to Haunted Ship because the half-pipe jank is honestly really annoying to deal with on that level. I end up going for a whip here, but it just doesn't pay off. And I end up slip-tiding right into someone. I sort of end up being in the back half for uncomfortably long amount of time for this race. What was I talking about though? Oh yeah, I wanted to go to Aqua Tunnel, but we ended up getting Sonic Speedway instead. I think it was like a 3-3-2 vote, so pretty even. Aqua Tunnel feels like a pretty good map to just maybe not like strictly front run on, but just there's a lot of zippers at the end, really helps lightweights especially. I consider going through the shortcut, but after seeing what happened with the Kaya, I'm glad I didn't. Or Kaya. Despite the really bad start at the beginning, I ended up actually taking up quite a few places to get back up. But unfortunately, that Jaws ends up not doing anything. Seeing that now, I definitely should have gotten hit by that banana, but I ended up getting away. Proration actually would have let me take that cut there, but I was so close to first, I didn't trust it. Proration, I'll talk about proration some more later, but I have some relatively strong opinions about that mechanic. Anyway, Doggo's winning a lot of these races, so in terms of the leaderboards, it's ending up getting a lot of the top players are kind of getting smushed together, and I slowly end up falling down. So moving on to Silver Cloud Island, I actually wanted Kodachrome because that's a really nice lightweight level, but ended up going here, and I switched to even stats, 5 speed, 5 weight. And unfortunately, I go 1 frame too early, and that's going to cause me a fault. I go for a bumper to try to farm amps, but just completely miss these Psycho. Unfortunate things happening all around. But the reason I went mid-weight instead of low weights, I think the drift spark rate is kind of important on this level. There's a lot of lines I end up doing that save. Ends up helping me crawl back up. And also being able to stack the ring box there really helps too. I end up taking a really tight turn there because I don't want to get hit by the bubble, and I think she used the bubble to... Yeah, she definitely used the bubble to use shortcut. Now that line is really risky because it's really easy to careen to the side. But I ended up pulling it off and being able to gain a little bit of time back. And Doggo ends up just falling off immediately, and I take the lead. This is a little unfortunate. I end up using amps there because I don't want to get hit by the Jaws. And I go for backwards drift going on the left spring, so that's actually a really interesting line. And maybe I invest in even more drift spark rate to make that more consistent. Okay, unfortunately the Jaws doesn't quite hit, and I end up taking a humble second place, but we'll take it, all things considered. Especially considering the frame perfect fault beginning. Like, definitely could have gone a lot worse. But with another win under Doggo's belt, I'm not sure what pronouns Doggo goes by. I'd have to check, but I think they push ahead of me, either this or the next. No, I'm first here. I think the next one they were able to push ahead of me. Now, we got Wave Crash Dimension. I think the choices were Wave Crash, Joyopolis, and Emerald Coast. I picked this one because lightweights can do some decent work with the zippers and flip tides. I end up hitting Galactium, which is really good news there. I decided to hold my amps instead of using them immediately. Piece of advice I would give to people trying to front run is to use your amps sooner rather than later, as it's basically like a secondary source of rings. You usually use like save jackpots for like straightaways, and you use all the speed at once to get through the straightaway, but you could do the same thing with amps basically. The amps I end up using there to recover, and I rolled a Toxa Mister because I made a few mistakes on the first lap and wanted to try to get some amps and slow down the pack a little bit. Unfortunately, hitting that landmine was pretty devastating. Thinking about it back then, it was like, I don't know how anyone got a landmine because I was in first, but there's a landmine capsule just to the left of me as I'm speaking, so it wasn't there because someone took it. But also that Toxin Mr. Puff was a little bit messed up too because I just straight up could not see it. I make an attempt to chain together big and ring boxes, maybe invincibility. The other issue I sometimes have with the roulette is that I'm trying to roll Super Ring. I tried to roll Super Ring there because I have a ring-based class. But I tried to roll a Super Ring there, and I saw yellow in my peripheral, and so I hit my item button, but it ended up being bananas instead. So unfortunately, this race was sort of the opposite of the last race, where I actually managed to get a frame perfect, or close to frame perfect first blood, but by the time I got to the second round, I messed up and then ended up kind of suffering in the mid-pack. The 70 score, it's not too much to, it's definitely a decent enough score, but if you get too many of those, you definitely start to fall behind. So, Mega Bridge Zone. The choices were Mega Bridge, Panic City, which is the one I really wanted, and Zone City. Zone City is not a map I'm super great on. It's a little it's a little bit too narrow for me, but I didn't really want to go to Mega Bridge Zone because this is kind of a map that sort of gets decided on First Blood. Not entirely, but like you can get like so many points from it, considering there's 2 checkpoints. Getting bumped out of the line into the item box does not help either. I definitely should have seen this coming, but I ended up getting hit by a Jaws. Lazuli's a really aggressive player. Like, I've been whipped by them countless times. I don't think in this session yet, at least, but they go for like a ton of whips and they're really good at landing them too. I end up like, I don't think I was looking at the road. I think I was looking at the ring thing. That was just straight up my fault. And again, so that was a little harder to react to. Yeah, you can sort of see what I mean. I'm just chaining the ring boxes together and trying to take as good lines as I can. I just can't really catch up. I actually end up taking first for a little bit, but it gets stolen from me. I tried to use my amps all at once in order to... Oh, yep. And getting width there and ring stung there was a death sentence for me. But I tried to use all my amps at once because I didn't want to risk just dying there. And that's a bit of a bad habit that I have, is that if a race is going poorly, then I'll just play a lot more recklessly. So we end up going to Hydrocity. The choices were Roasted Ruins and Hydrosity, and I think maybe Avant Garden. I can't remember actually, but unfortunately, there's a bit of inherent flaw in the design in the opener, just because you can just get screwed over based off of placement. I don't hate the fact that I went for the whip there, but it was just like a little too late for trying to actually hit it. If I started charging the whip just a little bit earlier than released, just a little bit earlier, then I would have had it. But Hydrosity opener, sometimes you can just get bumped before you can even move at all, and it sucks a lot. It's something I sort of did not think about that much on 2.3 because the beginning of the race just didn't really matter nearly as much as it does now. But because like you can gain a lot of points from front running, even if you don't front run for the entire race, it's like it matters a lot more. I'm surprised I didn't lose my voltage there from getting that airtime, not drifting during it. That's a really long time to hold my voltage. Oh, unfortunately took that too tight and ended up falling there, which is... I could have gotten like... It could have been so much better if that didn't happen. That was like such a unfortunate error. And then hitting the banana there is just a nail in the coffin. I don't have voltage anymore, so... Or like any ring speed at all because I had to respawn. I would definitely consider going for the no item shortcut. If I had voltage there, but I ended up losing it, so.
Aren't I just incredible?
The funny thing, 75 points is just barely enough to get a C rank. I know if I had only one less point, then I would have gotten a D rank instead. So I believe this is the second to last. This is the second to last race. I end up going Mayor's out here, who is a 1-speed, 1-weight, just like Chao. But I end up going this character because having a low speed here is really nice for trying to take the shortcut. You also get a little bit more from amps, and it's sort of just littered with rings. It ends up working really nicely. Funny thing, I actually considered being a 1-1 main for a little while for 2.4. And I don't think 1-1's like a terrible stat to solo main, but I think it's definitely harder, and I'm generally a player who wants to get the best chance to win in any circumstance, so I think just having like 1-1 in the pocket with some maps is a really good way to help win. Help myself, like, you know, 1-1's really good in the maps that they're good in, of course, but something like, shoot, I can't think of anything immediately. Maybe like Azor Axiom, it's like, I'm sort of shooting myself in the foot by picking a slower character. And having the versatility really helps. I haven't been talking about the race a lot at all. That was the only lap I managed to take the shortcut. I ended up getting a little bit of amps there, and that's enough to push forward and win the race. The slightly better amps that you get for slower speed actually, I think, genuinely helped me there a lot for pushing at the end. And the middle of the race wasn't too bad either. I was getting pretty high placements. Everyone in my competition is getting good placements too, though, so it doesn't. Yeah, even Bree got a higher amount of points than I did. So this is the final race. I ended up going Amy because I think the mid speed is really nice for this level. I ended up getting bumped here, and something very bad happens. I get light snaked over the start line, but it doesn't count my lap. I don't know it right. I don't realize it right now, but I'm on lap 0. I'm not on lap 1. Which is probably why I got proration so easily there, actually. I didn't think about it. I hit the checkpoint there, and I realized that I didn't actually hit the checkpoint, but I thought it was some sort of glitch and sort of taking a shortcut somehow. Then I start realizing, wait, Alexu is behind me, but I'm still in 8th. So I tried to respawn for the game to fix my position, but it just ends up putting me forward. And at this point, I'm like very confused. And now's the time I start looking down the lap counter and I realize what's wrong. Yeah, so unfortunately, I'm just kind of screwed for this entire race. I just did not realize that the map counter was... And I couldn't really say anything either. I wasn't sure what even to say. Something funny happens here also. I managed to slip and land right on that little nub on that waterfall after getting launched forward at super speeds. Probably because of speed assist, actually. Seeing myself push forward, I think it would be really bogus if I end up hitting people and that end up changing the race, so I actually go out of my way not to hit people. I don't know what I'm doing here. I should just be driving forward. I guess I'm just waiting for the race to be over because I know I can't win. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
12 points is a new low score for me, by the way. I don't think I've ever gotten that low of a score. Despite that, though, and even with the recalculation, subtracting the points, I still got 4th overall this Mogi. It was a very good Mogi for me to start, and then, like, some small things, bad things end up happening here and there that ended up just... I slowly just, like, bled points, and then that race was just, like, the final nail in the coffin. But overall, it was a pretty good Mogi. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.